and we'll try this evening. We'll see if we can get something accomplished here. I'm going to wait for YouTube to begin, but yeah, it was crazy. In the last broadcast that I did, I think when I started the broadcast, it was in the 70s. I don't remember what it was, 74, 75. By the time that broadcast ended, the temperature was down to 59. It's now all the way down to 41. So we clearly had a cold front come in, and it's not, I know 41 again does not sound anything significant to anybody else, but 41, when we were like 80, 86 degrees just the other day. It feels much colder. And so now the studio here feels actually cold, but I had to put on a sweatshirt just because all of a sudden it's like, I had the AC on literally today. I had the AC on today, and now all of a sudden it's 41 degrees. That's such a West Texas type of thing. But I mean, it happens in other places as well. But all right. But we need to go to YouTube right now, and we need to turn off the live chat. Okay, here we go. Hang on. All right, I have videos playing on YouTube. All right. Okay. All right. I think I got that. Hang on. Let's go to Theology Central. All right. Hang on. There we go. Hang on. Where's my sound? Videos playing on YouTube. All right. Okay. There we go. Yeah, YouTube's doing all kinds of crazy things. All right, starting videos. Won't let me start mine. Okay, I just need to play my video, or not my video. I guess it's, however it's sent, whatever format it shows up in. And I just noticed we're at 506 subscribers on YouTube. Wow. Do I call myself a YouTuber now? Okay, 506, that's pretty good. All right. So we're doing okay there. Let me go over here to, hang on. Going to, there is someone else broadcasting. They've been on for 1 hour and 7 minutes, so I'm assuming they're about to be done. So we'll be the only ones broadcasting. How do we sound on Sermon Audio? Going to, there is someone else broadcasting. All right, so we're good to go there. All right. I think we're set. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I mean, I have to do this tonight. Don't necessarily want to. I was laying down listening to classic radio drama. Suspense just went off the air. And now I think Father Knows Best is about to come on. And that's Radio Classics on Sirius XM. Love that channel. So I had been listening to that, and then I thought, I'm not falling asleep yet, and I came up with this ridiculous idea. I've got a limited amount of time to get this series done. The microphone is not far away. Let me go to I'm there, and next thing you know, I'm at the microphone. So here I am, and I'll get back to Radio Classics and pick up where I left off as soon as I'm done here, right? So, are you ready? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective, this is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday, December the 28th, 2025. It is currently 11:06 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio, located right here in Abilene, Texas. You can tell I'm losing my voice a little bit. That's only because there's been this crazy temperature change here in West Texas. During my last live broadcast, when I started that broadcast, it was in the 70s. By the time that broadcast was over, it was like 59, 58 degrees. And now it's all the way down to 41 degrees. We had a cold front come in. Now, I know 41 degrees, you're thinking it's not even very cold. And I do understand that. But you have to understand it from our perspective. The other day it was almost 90 degrees. I had the air conditioning on just this afternoon, all the way up into the early evening time. And then the next thing you know, a cold front comes in and now we're at 41 degrees. So it's cold here in the studio, all right? But here I am. And you may be asking, well, why are you there at 11:07 p.m. Central Time? Why are you broadcasting? Well, it's December the 28th. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells me that the year is almost over. It's 11:07 p.m. Central Time. What does that tell you? Well, it tells me December the 28th is about to be over. Okay. So each day is passing quickly and we're fast approaching the end of the year. And whether it was a smart decision, whether it was a bad decision, I decided earlier today to kind of create a series, and a series that I intend it to be complete and to be done and to be finished before the end of 2025 and before we begin 2026. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I know this. If I'm going to pull it off, then I probably need to get something else done before December the 28th is over, because once it becomes December the 29th, oh man, I don't have a lot of time to do this. And it really requires about probably, well, counting this one, about 11 other episodes. So I think a total of 13 total episodes that I need to finish between December the 28th and the end, or by midnight, December the 31st. That's a lot to do. Now, the goal of this series is to have a little bit of fun, do something very interesting, capture that, well, at least on the Sermon Audio platform, the number one message I did for the entire year of 2025 was my lyrical analysis of Ordinary by Alex Warren. That's what everyone listened to. Everything else, they didn't seem to, that had other good numbers, but I'm just saying that one was by far the most popular thing I did. So I'm like, okay, well, people want to hear me talk about music. It's almost the end of the year. I know what we will do. We'll look back at 2025, right? So I was like, okay, We'll just kind of go through the year of music in 2025. And then I kind of started looking. I'm like, most of what I would talk about, I kind of already covered in our Songs of the Summer. We really kind of captured a good portion of 2025 as far as what was on the chart, what was popular. I'm like, I could do some other things. But again, the more obscure you become on a podcast that's called Theology Central, are people going to want to hear me talking about the popular indie music of 2025? Probably not as much, but things that are very, very, very popular, you may draw an audience to hear you provide a lyrical analysis with somewhat of a theological perspective. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll do that. It'll be fun. We'll be ending the year. We'll look at the music of 2025. And then I realized, wait a minute, I've covered a lot of it, but what dominated 2025? What was the biggest music release of 2025? And without question, it was The Life of a Showgirl by Taylor Swift. It was the biggest album of 2025. Without question, billions of streams with a B, billions of streams. It broke every kind of record you can imagine. Over 5 million copies sold, and it was released in October, and we're not even done with December. Already over 5 million sold, billions of streams and downloads. Now, did everyone love it? No. Was it very much a debated album? Yes. Did a lot of people hate it? Yes. Did a lot of people shrug their shoulder and didn't like it? I understand. We're not here to get into whether you like it, dislike it, whether you love Taylor Swift or hate Taylor Swift. What we are doing is acknowledging reality. Hey, this was the album that people were listening to. And they were not listening to it once or twice, 10 times, 20 times. They were listening to it over and over and over and over. And repetition leads to formation, or what we can say, repetition leads to influence. So what was influencing people all around you was Taylor Swift. Whether you like it or not, she was. Whether people want to deny it. An album cannot break every record under the sun. And people go, well, it wasn't really that important. It didn't really mean anything. Well, it meant something to somebody, and it meant to someone a whole lot of times. So I thought, let's talk about it. So what we did in the first episode is I established really the reason by going through all of the records that broke and how many people were listening to it and its influence, right? And because of that, I'm like, well, then it'll be fun. We'll take a journey through the life of a showgirl by Taylor Swift, and we're going to try to finish it by the end of 2025 so that we start 2026 and we kind of put a bow on 2025 by talking at least about the biggest album of 2025. And we'll try to understand what the album was saying, the world of the album, what it put forth, its ideas, its philosophies, and we'll try to make it a good time. So that's what we're going to do. All right, we're going to go through the entire album. I can't say I'm going to go through the entire album line by line. And the only reason why is this is a theology podcast. And some of the lines, I don't know how I would cover. But at the same time, we talk about the Song of Solomon. And I don't know how you cover some of that as well. Okay, but people are more forgiving about the Song of Solomon. Won't be so forgiving about a Taylor Swift album. But what we'll do with some of those songs where I can't necessarily go line by line, I will at least step back and put together an analysis of the overall meaning of the song and maybe just kind of allude to, hey, in this line here, there's some things there. Maybe we'll do something about that. But hey, what we're going to do now is even in a roundabout way, we've been living in Taylor Swift's world, all right? It's her world. We're just visiting. And as her world and her influence has, in a sense, washed over all of culture, whether you like it or not, well, I think we can try to stop and pay attention to what was actually said. I mean, you can just sit there and say, I don't like her. She has no talent. I love when people say that. She just broke every record and stuff, but she has no talent. Okay, well then, go show her up. Okay, but all right. But we can sit around and do that, which typically it's older people just saying ridiculous things, and it just drives me crazy. But you know what? You can't really interpret anything accurately if you don't actually look at it. So we're going to try to provide an accurate interpretation by actually looking at it. And it doesn't mean we necessarily agree. It doesn't mean we necessarily disagree. It doesn't mean I think it's bad. It doesn't mean I think it's good. It just means here's what the songs are about. We may offer critique. Who knows? We're just going to enjoy it. And it's just going to be fun. So, pull out Taylor Swift's album and, any musical streaming service, The Life of a Showgirl, and you can listen to it. Now, again, it's not a Christian album. I'm not pretending that it is. All right. I'm not pretending that the message is all biblical and theologically sound. I'm not pretending that. I'm just telling you, this is the album that dominated the year. And we're going to end the year by looking at it and taking it apart so that we hear what was actually said. Instead of just yelling and screaming at it, let's listen to it. Let's talk about it. All right. Now, if you haven't already listened to it, by all means, I'll put it this way. I will tell you, listen to it if you want. Listen to each song as I analyze it, or after I'm done analyzing it. You can draw your own conclusions and you can offer your own interpretations. All right. So, and what we're going to do is, at least as we start this album, again, I can't play any of it. I wish I could, but I cannot because of copyright. But I am going to work through line by line through the opening track of the album, which is the Fate of Ophelia. The Fate of Ophelia. We're going to walk through it. We're not going to guess. I'm not going to project anything on the lyrics. I'm not going to try to go, I think this is what it means. Maybe, I may do a little bit of that, but I'm going to try my best to show exactly what the words appear to be doing and saying. That's what I'm going to try to do, all right? And if we're kind of left with a little bit of tension, maybe we don't know exactly what to do with it, hey, that's okay, because I think most of the power of music, I think this is fair to say, I think most of the power of music isn't found in the answers. It's how the song builds its emotional logic. Now, I do know this, and I will have to say that it's Taylor Swift, okay? So one of the things Swifties do, and anybody who cares about trying to interpret lyrics, it's fun with Taylor Swift to go, oh, who is she talking about? Is it this ex-boyfriend? Is it a new boyfriend? Or is it, well, the famous football player who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs? So a lot of times what people do is they look at the lyrics simply to try to interpret it in light of who is she talking about? But Taylor Swift writes the songs, I think, in a way where, yes, she may not be denying that she's talking about this person or this person or this situation, but I think she also writes the songs in such a way where they can be understood to go beyond that, because there's layers to what's being said. So I'm not going to sit here and try to interpret the lyrics going, this is about so and so. If we have something where she clearly articulates who the song is about, then okay. If she doesn't do that, I'm not going to do that. I don't want this to be speculation. I want it to say, here's what the song appears to be saying. Could it be applied to her situation? Absolutely. But it doesn't have to be. We can just say this, it can be about any situation that fits the emotional logic of the song. All right. So I'm going to get Taylor Swift fans going, this is about so-and-so. And the goal here is not to try to look at it from a biographical perspective, unless Taylor Swift has made it explicitly clear that's how it should be understood. But even if it's supposed to be understood that way, I will defend this. Taylor Swift also wants the song to be able to be understood and applied to whatever situation you find yourself in, right? So that you can relate, because you can't relate to her story per se. You can relate to the similar elements in her story that can also be related to yours, if that makes sense. All right. So if you open up the album, I'm going to open up from a musical streaming service here. I've opened up The Life of a Showgirl, and I've pulled up the album art. All right. Now, the album art, pretty famous. I think it's pretty iconic. I mean, I know it's too early to say it's iconic. I mean, the album just came out, October 3rd. So it's, it's not that far, but it just has that. I mean, you see that album cover, you can remove the words, you know exactly which album it is. Of course, you're going to know it's Taylor Swift because there she is. But notice the artwork, okay? There's Taylor Swift. It looks like she's dressed what we may think a showgirl is. Okay, so there she is, dressed like a showgirl. But notice, she's not on stage. She's not in front of an audience. She's not in Vegas. She's lying in water. And most of her body is submerged in water, except her face. Just her face is a little bit out of the water. So it's like she's being submerged, she's drowning, or she's sinking. Let's put it that way. Not drowning, she's sinking. And she just has this kind of, she's not smiling, she's not crying. She's just kind of, I don't know how you would describe her expression. But I think there's a lot going on there, especially once you look at the album cover and then you look at the title of the first track, The Fate of Ophelia. The Fate of Ophelia. And I mean, immediately when you see that, you have to go, wait, who's Ophelia? And what was their fate? Who is Ophelia and what is their fate? Now, those who know Shakespeare, you're going to know who Ophelia is, and you're going to know what her fate was. Those who do not, you may not. But I think we have to talk about the fate of Ophelia because I think it's the interpretive key to the entire song. Now, other people will think, no, it's Travis Kelce. That's the interpretive key. I don't think it is. I think Ophelia is the interpretive key. That's why it's called The Fate of Ophelia. So let's do a little bit of work on that before we get to the actual lyrics. I think we have to, right? Because I think before we can understand what the song is saying, we have to be clear about what it's referencing. That makes sense. Now, okay, before we move on. There's so much I want to say here. Whenever I interpret lyrics, I try to demonstrate I try to demonstrate one, that you need to be fair. Anytime you critique music and you're going to say anything about an artist or their music, be fair about the lyrics. Know how to actually interpret the lyrics and not just say ridiculous things that pastors typically do when they interpret lyrics. That's embarrassing, it's ridiculous, and it's not having any form of integrity. Let's be honest when we deal with the lyrics. But I also like to demonstrate that whenever you're interpreting lyrics, you should see something. It's like hermeneutics, right? Interpretation applies across all different types of art, movies, television shows, music, you name it, comic books, whatever. You use interpretive skill. You use interpretive principles. So I think it makes sense. Hey, wait a minute. How can I understand the fate of Ophelia if I don't know what it's referring to? And if I know what it's referring to, that could provide us an interpretive key. Sometimes it may not, but I think in this case, it just screams, all right? Because when the song talks about the fate of Ophelia, it isn't using the name as some vague poetic flourish, some vague poetic, addition so that sounds really poetic or interesting. No. It's pointing directly. When Taylor Swift calls this the fate of Ophelia, she is pointing directly to a specific literary story. And that story carries a very particular meaning. Ophelia is a character from, come on, class. All right, who can get this right? Now, Taylor Swift fans, I know you already know this. You have it already mapped out. Okay, right. And you say, you should have figured this out on day one. I'm not saying I haven't figured it out on day one, but we're now at the end of the year, just looking back at the biggest album of the year, which is The Life of a Showgirl. So we're talking about it. So I have to break it down. Some of you, it's already assumed you know this. I know that. But for others, they may never even heard the album, especially depending on the different platforms where this podcast episode is uploaded, like say sermonaudio.com. Many of them have never heard of the album, so they may not have ever thought about it. But if you do not know, it's weird because the audience here is going to be very varied, and it's going to be like some people are going to have no clue what I typically do. So I have to kind of explain everything. But for those who may not know, and for those who didn't know, but now you know, thanks to Taylor Swift, Ophelia is a character from Hamlet, written by William Shakespeare. Oh, do you remember that? Do you remember Shakespeare in school, right? How many have any gone to any Shakespeare festivals? Oh, I love going to Shakespeare festivals, especially here in Abilene, Texas, put on by ACU, one of the big universities here. Their Shakespeare festival, it's usually in the summer. Awesome. It's always amazing. Sometimes they do these kind of interesting reinterpretations of the stories. It's always really good, always fun. I haven't been in a long time. I need to see if this coming summer they're going to do one in 2026. Because it's always fun and always great. So if there's ever a Shakespeare festival anywhere near you, you should go attend. All right. But now, Ophelia is a character in Hamlet, William Shakespeare. And her fate is not heroic. It's not dramatic in a triumphant way. It may be dramatic, but not in a triumphant way. It's quiet. It's tragic. Maybe some would say it's almost passive. I don't know. You could argue about that. But clearly it's not triumphant. Clearly it's not heroic. Who is Ophelia in the play? Ophelia is the daughter of a powerful man. I think his name was Polonius. I think it was Polonius. I think that's what it was. I think she's the daughter of a man. Isn't it Polonius? I'm going to say it's Polonius. I believe it is. All right. But she's the daughter of a powerful man. That's the most thing. I don't necessarily remember his name. I think it's Polonius. If I'm wrong, all you Shakespeare experts, you can criticize me. But I know she's the daughter of a powerful man. She's emotionally vulnerable. She's caught between obedience, love, and social expectation, and she's deeply affected by her relationship with Hamlet. She doesn't control the story around her. She is pulled by it. That's kind of interesting. She doesn't control the story. She's pulled by it. The Life of a Showgirl. Does Taylor relate to this character? Because she's just been in, since she was little, she's basically been in the spotlight. She's been the showgirl, and, did she have any control of it, or was she pulled by it? I don't know if she finds any relation to the character, but I do find it interesting that there is that somewhat of a similarity. Now, what actually happens to Ophelia? What is the fate of Ophelia? Well, over the course of the play, she seems to be, I think this is fair to say, emotionally manipulated. I think that's fair to say. Her father is killed. I think that's accurate. her relationship collapses and her mental stability deteriorates. Eventually, Ophelia loses her sanity. In a sense, she sings fragmented songs, she drifts, she disconnects from reality, and then she dies. Not in battle, not by protest, not by confrontation. She drowns. Oh, interesting, right? The cover of the album is Taylor submerged in water. Fate of Ophelia, she drowns. I think this is fair to say about, I think it's fair to say about her death. Again, I'm not an expert on Shakespeare, so by any means, if I need to be corrected on any of this, you Shakespearean experts can definitely correct me. I think traditionally, the death of Ophelia is kind of portrayed as somewhat ambiguous. Was it accident or was it suicide? I think that's fair to say. I mean, we could really dig in, but I think it's somewhat ambiguous. It's quiet, it's unseen, but it seems somewhat inevitable once she begins to lose herself. And I think that's crucial. Now, what does the fate of Ophelia possibly mean symbolically? Because how her story unfolds, Ophelia has come to represent, because of the way the story unfolds, her story, I think it's fair to say, Ophelia typically represents, and again, you could, if you've ever been in a class studying Shakespeare, everyone in the class will have an argument here, right? Everyone will. But I think because of how her story unfolds, Ophelia has come to represent, and again, these debates happen, but I think it's fair to say they represent, or she becomes to represent, emotional collapse caused by love. Emotional collapse caused by love. Can love lead to an emotional collapse? We could get, I'm never going to finish this. We're going to finish it by the end of 2026. We're going to be done with the one song, The Fate of Ophelia. I mean, right there, emotional collapse caused by love. I mean, that is a podcast episode. That's a podcast series. All right. Idealism that can't survive reality. If you have idealism, you're idealistic, or if you have that kind of attribute, sometimes your idealism cannot survive reality. Losing oneself in devotion, she comes to represent that. Suffering silently rather than fighting back. And being undone by relationship rather than being saved through a relationship. So Ophelia comes to represent emotional collapse caused by love. Love just causes the emotional collapse. Idealism that cannot survive reality. Losing oneself in devotion. Suffering silently rather than fighting back. And being undone by relationships rather than being saved by the relationship. Ophelia doesn't rage. She doesn't escape. She simply fades away. And that's her fate. The fate of Ophelia. So, why does this matter? Well, when the song says, "You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia," it's not saying you saved me from sadness, you saved me from heartbreak. It's saying something I think much heavier. You saved me from disappearing. You saved me from losing my mind. You saved me from being undone quietly by love. That's the emotional baseline the song starts from. The fate of Ophelia. When she sings in the song, "You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia," she's not just saying, "I was sad, I had a little heartbreak and you showed up." No, you saved me from disappearing. You saved me from losing my mind. You saved me from being undone quietly by love itself. And I don't think if listeners don't understand Ophelia's fate, I think they're going to mishear the song as maybe just a simple romance. They may miss the danger implied by the rescue language. They may overlook why drowning, graves, and madness matter, and they may flatten the song into simply, "You saved me." But I think it's supposed to represent something deeper. But once the story of Ophelia becomes clear, then I think the lyrics actually become legible. Now we know what the speaker believes she was headed towards. Now we understand why being saved feels so urgent in the song. And now the tension in the song makes sense. So when we go line by line, which we're about to do through this song, everything hinges on this: the speaker of the song. Now, when I say the speaker, it's just always, I have to say this whenever we interpret lyrics. Remember, whenever you interpret a lyric, not every lyric is autobiographical. Not every lyric is written because the songwriter experienced it. Sometimes the songwriter, just like writing a novel, you like to create a fictitious character, and you say, here's the character, put the character in the song, and then you speak from the character's point of view, and you can make that character feel anything, whether you've ever experienced it or not. But I know when it's Taylor, a lot of times it is much more, biographical, and it's about her. But unless she says so, I don't want to do that, because I want to see if we can see ourselves as the character in the song. That's the fun thing about music, is when you listen, you get to be that character. You get to experience whatever, that heartbreak, that love, that desire, that fear, that anger. You get to be them for 3 minutes or 2 minutes and 45 seconds or whatever the song is. All right. So just note. So when we go through all the lines of the song, everything hinges that the speaker believes she was on the path towards Ophelia's end. She was on the path to the fate of Ophelia. She was going to experience the same fate Ophelia experienced. Emotional collapse, loss of self, quietly disappearing. Maybe even deeper than that. And the entire song is told from the perspective of someone who thinks that fate got interrupted. Now, with that in mind, you can go listen to the song. All right, now you're good to go. You're good to go. No, we're going to still go through line by line, but now you can go listen to the song. If you didn't understand all of that and you listened to the Fate of Ophelia, then I'm sorry, you didn't really understand the song. All right? But when you add all of that to it, that adds a whole different emotional weight to the song. So you may hear it and go, it's just one of those stupid little pop songs. Or maybe it's saying a lot more. And Taylor, if you've ever listened to Taylor, she gave a speech at, I don't remember what university, and she talked a lot about songwriting, and brilliant stuff, right? So she is a songwriter, and she does a lot of this. And even the marketing of albums, she loves to create symbolism and leave little hints here and there. And this represents this, and this represents this. So it's very on par that the fate of Ophelia, who drowns, Taylor's on the album cover, submerged in water. Come on now. That opening song is the fate of Ophelia. And if you understand the fate of Ophelia, then you at least understand the emotional weight of the song. Maybe even, does it carry on through the rest of the album? I don't know. You could draw that conclusion yourself. All right. So are you ready? All right. All right. So we're sitting in the floor. We have candles. Hey, it's not a candlelight service. See, so we can be a little bit more sentimental because we're not doing something theologically. Okay. See, when the church does something, we're supposed to follow scripture. But here, see, all right, so the lights are down. Light a few candles. We got to be able to see. We got our lyric page in our hand. We got the album cover, and we're going to listen to the Fate of Ophelia. I know I can't play it for you now, but just imagine. We got the turntable right there. Oh, I got the vinyl copy. You got the vinyl copy? You ready? Okay, put the needle. Okay, well, I would have the album cleaner. Okay, all right. So we start the album and we listen to the Fate of Ophelia. You ready to start working through the lyrics? Are you ready? Are you an expert now on Shakespearean interpretation of the character Ophelia? Okay, are you? Okay, I think you are. Are you ready? Here we go. we're going to break the song down, I guess, into different kind of movements. I debated on how to do this. Because I could just summarize what it's about, but I do like to walk through each line, all right? So sometimes that works. Sometimes by the time I'm done, I think it's a bad idea, but I don't know. There's never really a right or wrong way. But if we were listening, I would probably do a lot of pausing and stopping, and you would be like, stop pausing the album. Let me hear this. Okay, but here we go. You ready? I heard you calling. Those are the first words you hear when you listen to The Fate of Ophelia by Taylor Swift from the album The Life of a Showgirl. The first words you hear on the album, and the first song, obviously, it's Fate of Ophelia, and the first lyrics is, I heard you calling. The song opens with sound, not sight, not that I see you, but I heard you. The first action is almost being summoned. Someone is calling. And the I is the character, right? I, that's the main character of the song, heard someone else initiating. Someone else did the initiating. Someone else did the calling. So the I here is the female character. We'll say Taylor. We'll just say Taylor, right? She, all right, we'll say she's just responding. She heard the calling. She didn't initiate the calling. Someone else did the calling. On the megaphone, I heard you calling on the megaphone. Now, a megaphone implies amplification, maybe public volume. Even if this moment is personal, the image suggests an announcement, an exposure, loud. In other words, they wanted her to hear. They initiate and they want her to hear. She hears them calling because they're using a megaphone. It could not be ignored. It could not be missed. Maybe because of the power of the call. Maybe because of just, I don't know. There's something about it that it's like being described as a megaphone. Now, again, this is very easy to just interpret all of this about Taylor and Travis Kelce. We could really do it that way. But then, unless Taylor says that's all that it means, I think that it gives this idea that there's someone and they get this call. Someone else initiates something. Maybe by speaking, maybe by doing something else, but something happens here. You want to see me all alone. Now, that's a strong desire. Not with you, but alone. You want to see me all alone. Not just see me with you, but you want me all alone. That's a very powerful desire. The you wants the her isolated. Maybe, now at this point, is it for intimacy? Is it for control? Is it for spectacle? I think, does the line create some kind of unease? I mean, you want to see me all alone. You could see that like, oh, hey, baby, I want to see you all alone. Like in kind of a flirty kind of way, right? But it also will be, whoa, who are you? You just called and you want to see me all alone? That, like, now why? Why? Do you want this to be a big spectacle? Do you want this? Are you trying to isolate me? Do you want to control? Like, I don't know. The thing with music is a lot of times you interpret the lyric by the sound of the music. So, but by just going through the lyrics, you can kind of be left, does it leave a little uncertainty? I don't know. You almost want to introduce a little bit of uncertainty because it makes it more fun. But all of a sudden someone calls on a megaphone, you want to see me all alone. As legend has it you, now she finally speaks, she responds. Legend frames the you as a known figure. The reputation precedes them, right? And legend has you. She finally speaks. Oh, I heard you calling on the megaphone. Oh, you want me alone. But guess what? Your reputation, the legend has it you. That in other words, there's something about this person already known. That you are quite the pyro. Pyro, fire starter. You're a fire starter. Now, does this describe the you? fire starter in kind of is she saying it in kind of a flirty kind of way? Oh, I know about you. Your repetition precedes you. You're a fire starter. Or is it like, oh, I know about you. You are a fire starter. In other words, maybe there's you're a little bit dangerous. You're a little bit thrilling. Maybe you're a little bit destructive. Maybe all three. Oh, the legend has it you're quite the pyro. You're a little dangerous. You're thrilling. Maybe you're destructive. Maybe you're all three. You light the match to watch it blow. Now that's kind of an interesting line, right? You light the match to watch it blow, not to warm. It doesn't sound like you're lighting the match to warm something. You're not lighting the match to signal something, but to watch it blow. You light the match maybe for spectacle. Maybe this is destruction as entertainment. Maybe this person is a little dangerous. Maybe she is a little uncertain. Oh, I know about you. I know you're quite the pyro. You start the fire. You light the match and watch it blow. Yeah. You create spectacles. Yeah, you're a little dangerous. Now, maybe you even do this to entertain yourself. Maybe a little bit of, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's negative, but it may mean, whoa, there's some power here. Maybe she's saying it in like, wherever you go, there's some power in you, right? There's an intensity in you. Maybe she's describing it that way. And if you'd never come for me, now, this is kind of, the tone changes a little bit, right? I think the tone changes here lyrically. Right? Now you have to follow it musically and you can see what emotion the music is trying to give it. And if you'd never come for me, she kind of just described him, but then she's like, and if you'd never come for me, remember he's the initiator. Maybe this is somewhat like almost a conditional rescue. If you had never come for me, there's a condition here. Something, if you'd never come for me, what, right? I think the song is setting up kind of an alternative timeline. What would have happened if you never showed up? And if you had never come for me, now, even though you may be a pyro, even though you may have this legend, even though you may just light a match and watch it blow, if you'd never come for me, well, here's this alternative timeline of what would happen. And then here, I love this line. My favorite line, I think it is my favorite line in this song. I might have drowned in melancholy. Now there's the drowning. Ophelia drowns. The album cover, Taylor is submerged. I might have drowned in melancholy. Come on. Who doesn't write that in their journal? Who doesn't have that written somewhere? Come on. I might have drowned in melancholy. You go, girl. That's a line right there. I love that line. I might have drowned in melancholy. This is emotional drowning. You got the water imagery, right? This arrives in the song, which the Fate of Ophelia, you're going to have some water imagery. You're going to have some drowning imagery. Melancholy, that's not a single event. It's not like if you would have never come, I might have drowned in melancholy. Oh, I would have had this bad event occur. No. I drowned in melancholy is not a single event. It's a state. When you start experiencing melancholy, you're there for a while, right? You're not there for 5 minutes. I might have drowned in melancholy. Now, to be fair, it does keep it somewhat hypothetical. I might have, like maybe she's completely uncertain. In other words, and she says, I might have drowned in the melancholy, means melancholy was there. There's no question about that. If you wouldn't have shown up, I would have drowned in it. The melancholy, there's no question about the melancholy. There's no might about the melancholy. The hypothetical is, would I have drowned? I mean, the Fate of Ophelia, she drowns. Would she have drowned if this person who called on a megaphone, who may be a little bit powerful, intense, maybe a little dangerous, who's a fire starter, lights a match just to watch it blow. If this person wouldn't have shown up, and maybe they're the most unlikely person, maybe like that's not the person who was supposed to show up, but they're the ones who did. And maybe they're a little dangerous. Maybe they're a little passionate. Maybe there's something, but they're the ones who showed up. And if they wouldn't have, she would have drowned in melancholy. Now, if I might have drowned in the melancholy. That may be my favorite line, but I don't know because I struggle because the next line may also be my favorite line. I swore my loyalty to me, myself, and I. Oh, that is so good. I swore my loyalty to me, myself, and I. Have you ever found yourself in your life where you're like, you know what? Forget people. I'm just going to be loyal to me, myself, and I. Because the only people who are going to be loyal to me is me, myself, and I. The only people I can count on to be me, myself, and I. Someone else is just going to abandon me or we could get all kinds of emotional things. I love this line. I swore loyalty to me, myself, and I. That is gold. All right. That's gold. And this is is it self-reliance or is it self-allegiance? She's almost making an allegiance to herself. I swore my loyalty. She makes an allegiance to herself, me, myself, and I. Self is the only dependable unit. That's the only thing she can depend on. It's framed as a vow, almost in a religious way. I swore loyalty. I swore my loyalty. She makes an oath to herself, me, myself, and I. Right before. So she makes this oath to self right before. Now she speaks again back to him. Right before you, looking at the fire starter, the pyro, the one who lights a match and watch it blow, the man who has the person who has the, great reputation, a reputation that precedes them, almost a legendary. There's something about them. They speak, people listen, they have a megaphone, they're loud. Maybe she's talking about a podcaster. Maybe she's talking about, okay, all right, now I'm just joking, right? But she's talking, someone here shows up. She makes this oath, this allegiance to herself, right? She's swimming in melancholy and she could possibly drown, but he shows up and he says, all of this right before you lit my sky up. Now the pyro, the fire starter, who just lights a match to watch it blow, now that fire, that intensity, lights her sky completely up. It's the fire imagery returns, but now it's cosmic. It's the sky. You lit my sky up. It sounds like both rescue and illumination, but maybe still a little bit of danger, right? I mean, you lit my sky up, and maybe it's illumination. Yeah, I was in darkness. I was almost ready to drown in melancholy. All I could see was me, myself, and I. You light the sky up. You illuminate. Maybe there's some kind of rescue, but I think it also shows power, and there's a little bit of danger there, right? This person lights a match, lights up her entire sky. There's passion, there's danger, there's power here. All that time, kind of, it's obviously a phrase that shows time. It kind of introduces a long season, not a moment. All that time. Okay, what time is she referring to? She's kind of explained her sky has been lit up. So what's going on? Well, all that time. Now she's going to go back. Remember how she kind of went back and said she could have almost drowned in melancholy? Now she's going to go back a little bit. All that time, looking back, before the sky is lit up, before the fire starter shows up, I sat alone in my tower. Now this is isolation, self-protection, silence or distance from others, okay? It's kind of it's isolation, it's self-protection, it's distance from others. Maybe even almost a self-imprisonment. Remember, it's just her, herself, or me, myself, and I, right? about to drown in melancholy. Now she's describing it that I was alone in my tower. I was isolated. I was trying to protect myself. Maybe she was around all kinds of people, but there was a distance from them. Maybe a self-imprisonment. She sat there in a sense in a passive way, not fighting, not fleeting, but maybe even though she didn't know it, she was waiting. She was waiting for the fire starter, for the one who had a reputation, for the one who would light a match and watch it blow. Maybe she was waiting. Maybe she didn't know that's what she was waiting for. And maybe she didn't even imagine that that's how it would show up. You were just honing your powers. Now she's speaking about him again. You were just honing your powers. See, back to this person, you're honing your powers. She sees this person as powerful and that this power is developing, almost like a mythical character, right? Hey, if I wouldn't have shown up, I would have possibly drowned in my melancholy, right? All right, you showed up and lit up the sky. And all that time while I was alone in my tower, going through all of this, you were honing your power. And like, that this person is powerful. And they were, while she was there imprisoned, this person was honing this power, this strength, this fire. Okay. I think that's there. Now I can see it all. See it all. Now this is a claim of clarity, right? This is after the fact. Now she's saying, now I can see. Maybe while I was in my tower, I couldn't see. Maybe I was about to drown in melancholy, I couldn't see. Once I had made an allegiance to just me, myself, and I, maybe I could not see anything. But now I can see it all. I think there's kind of an echo there. Now I can see it all. See it all. There's like an echo in the lyric. And I think it's kind of a parenthetical echo, I guess is the only way to describe it, right? I think it's mimicking emphasis. Now I can see it all. See it all. Like, I think it's emphasizing. I don't think it's supposed to mimic obsession. I think I think that would be wrong. I think it's emphasis. Now I can see it all. Like, I can see it all now. It's like the mind replaying the realization. Now I can see. Like, because the sky's been lit up. Illumination. Now she can see. Late one night. Now, this is in kind of a narrative. This would be a classic narrative timing. Late one night, secret, intimate, vulnerable. Late one night, hey, a lot can happen in the middle of the night. A lot can happen late at night. It's secret, it's intimate, it's vulnerable. You dug me out of my grave. Wow. She went from drowning, imprisoned in a tower. Now she was in the grave. And now the fire starter dug her out of the grave. That's not passive. That's like this person dug her out of her grave. This is extreme rescue language. This is not, you helped me up. You kept me from falling. But this is, you exhumed the body from the grave. See, she's not describing herself as, I was just sad, right? I was just having a bad day. I was as good as dead emotionally, relationally, existentially. I was dead, and you showed up and you dug me out of the grave. Now, we have now see, all of it makes sense, especially that you know about the fate of Ophelia, because now what does she say? You saved my heart from the fate of. It's her heart. It's her inner life. It's love. It's self. You saved me from the fate. This implies inevitability. It was inevitable. You saved me from what fate had determined. You showed up and you overrode fate because fate inevitably had me drowning in melancholy, imprisoned in a tower, only allegiance to me, myself, and I, and it had me in a grave. It was inevitable. You are so powerful. You overcame fate. This was the script that she was destined to follow, but he showed up late one night, changed everything. You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. There's Ophelia again, the character from Shakespeare. Ophelia is introduced again as a symbol. I mean, it's a symbol, but it's pulling from the story itself, right? It's a name that carries a whole tragic story. Now, the song doesn't explain it, but it just kind of drops the weight. You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. If you know the story of Ophelia, you're like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. He definitely dug her out of a grave. If he saved her from the fate of Ophelia, he saved her from death, basically. Now, she may be using it for emotional death, relationship death, mental, but who knows? Maybe she was even taking it further. But the point is, this person showed up. Keep it 100. Now, this is a very dramatic tone shift, right? We kind of go from poetic imagery, the fate of Ophelia, Shakespeare, to kind of modern day idiom. Keep it 100. Hey, it's kind of funny, right? It's like a dramatic tone shift. Whoa, what happened? We just left the pages of Shakespeare to keep it 100. The line is kind of a demand for authenticity, total honesty, or full commitment. Keep it 100. Keep it 100, right? It's kind of funny. On the land, the sea, and the sky. Keep it 100 on land, sea, and sky. This is language of totality, right? A totalizing kind of language. Every domain, everywhere. It makes the pledge almost to feel cosmic again, like devotion with no escape. Keep it 100. Pledge allegiance to your hands. Now, remember, she'd given allegiance, kind of making to me, myself, and I. All of a sudden now, things are different. Pledge allegiance to your hands. Okay, this is a political, military kind of language. Devotion becomes oath-like. And it's not allegiance to a person's character, oddly, but to hands. That's kind of interesting. Pledge allegiance to your hands. I'm pledging allegiance to your touch, to your control, to your work, to your possession, to your intimacy. It's kind of sensual, right? But it's very powerful. I'm pledging allegiance to your hands, not to a character, but to you, right? Because if you pledge allegiance to their character, well, no one's ever going to be perfect, but you can pledge allegiance to their hands, right? Because you're just giving yourself to that person, even though they may be imperfect, right? I don't know. Maybe there's too much going on there, but it's just a fascinating turn of phrase there, right? I pledge allegiance to your hands, but she adds more. Your team, your vibes. Now, your team is why everyone's like, Travis Kelce, he's the fire starter. I understand, okay? I'm not by any means saying it isn't, but you can just take it beyond that because it means a lot. As just seeing this as this person, right? She's pledging her allegiance to your hands, your team, your vibe. The object of devotion expands not only to the person, but their whole system, their whole social world, their whole mood, their whole identity, everything about them. In other words, I am pledging my allegiance to all you are and all you do and everything around you. I'm pledging my allegiance to you. I don't care where the H you have been. Again, for people who are not people who are listening on other platforms, why don't you just say the word? Because I'm broadcasting also. My podcast gets uploaded to Sermon Audio, and I don't want to have any problems. So I can talk about hell in a theological sense, but I don't care where what we would say hell in the theological sense, you've been. Is that a good way to get around it? All right. I don't care where the H you've been. This is kind of, she's indifferent. I don't care where you've been. Your past is irrelevant. I don't care. I don't care where you've been. Don't care. I don't care about that legend and that reputation that precedes you. I don't care about any of that. Now, it can sound romantic. I accept you. I guess maybe it could be like, I don't ask any questions. I don't know. Maybe that's, I think maybe it's just supposed to signify allegiance and devotion. Hey, I'm yours. And I don't care about where you've been. It's when you showed up. It's when you lit up the sky. It's when you dug me out of the grave. It's when you got me out of the tower. It's now. It's not what was, it's what is. Right? And if you compare, any comparison is how would we say it? Comparison is the thief of joy. If you compare anything to other people, if you compare anything to the past, if you compare anybody to anything, it will rob you of joy. Comparison is the thief, the theft, it will rob you of joy. Comparison will rob you of joy. It's that simple. It will. And not only that, if you hold someone to something that happened in the past, then that person, no, you can't. At some point, you got to let the past go, right? I know it's not that simple, but yeah, I think there's a lot going on there with that line. All right, I'm never gonna get done with this. Okay, we gotta hurry here. Okay, so let's see. I don't care where you've been, because now you're mine. Now this is a very possessive claim. This song is not shy about ownership language. You're mine now, okay? You're mine now. It's about to be the sleepless night. It's about to be the sleepless night, the way it's written, but okay. This kind of anticipation, emotional intensity, desire. Sleepless could be passion. And I think it's about to be a sleepless night. Now, it's about to be a sleepless night could be a couple of reasons. It's going to be a sleepless night because, well, Mr. Firestarter just showed up, dug me out of my grave. The sky is on fire. All this passion. It's going to be sleepless because what do I do now? You know, how do I move forward now? Or it could be sleepless because now it's kind of using a little, innuendo here because, well, now that we're together, we're not going to be sleeping because we're going to be together and we're going to be exploring one another, to put it in a politically correct way. You've been dreaming of, the you has wanted this. This frames the relationship as a fulfillment of the other's desires. You've been dreaming of. You've been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia. Now, this is kind of fascinating here, and I don't know exactly what to do here. You've been dreaming of. Now, if we put it together, you've been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia. Ophelia, I think earlier, was something she was saved from. Here, it's something you've been dreaming of. The chorus kind of creates a tension. Do you want to save her from that fate or reenact it? Like, what's going on there? You've been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia. That's a dramatic change there, right? I'm going to do something really quick. I'm going to pull up the lyrics here. Yeah. It's about to be the sleepless night. You've been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia. I think what she's saying here is she's been dreaming of that fate. She can't escape the fate of Ophelia, but now she has. So she's been, I don't think, but who's talking there? Because now you're mine. It's about to be the sleepless night. You've been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia. Has he been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia? Or is he saying that to her? Who's speaking there? There's a lot going on there I'm not completely sure of. Now, because we're already at an hour, I don't have time to dig more into that. I I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on there. It's a very interesting phrase there. There's almost a tension there that I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can completely reconcile there. I didn't even give it much thought, and then all of a sudden now when I'm reading it, it doesn't. It leads me a little bit like, what's going on here? You've been dreaming about the fate of Ophelia. Yeah, I said, I'm not going to try to resolve it. I'm just going to put a note there. I'm just going to kind of put a bookmark there. All right. I'm going to put a bookmark there. Maybe we can resolve it later. I don't know. All right. Then the eldest daughter of a nobleman, Ophelia is given a formal identity. This sounds like a storybook or historical summary. Distant narration, I think. It's kind of narrating this. The eldest daughter of a nobleman. Now, I think she's been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia. Now what she does in the next part. Does she start describing Ophelia? Is that what happens? The eldest daughter of a nobleman. Ophelia lived in fantasy. Oh, now she is. She's been dreaming about Ophelia. Now she's going to tell us about Ophelia. Is that how we interpret this? The eldest daughter of a nobleman. Ophelia lived in fantasy. Now, fantasy can be innocent. It can be denial. You lived in fantasy because you're denying reality. It can be that idealism. She lived with such idealism. Or it could be escapism. The line is interpretive inside the song. The narrator, I think a good way to say it, the narrator, or she, is defining Ophelia for us. She's been dreaming of Ophelia, so maybe she's speaking of herself. I don't know. But she has been dreaming of Ophelia, and now she's going to, in a sense, define Ophelia for us, right? But love was a cold bed full of scorpions. Wow, that's a line. That may be another one of my favorites. Love was a cold bed full of scorpions. Man, what a line. You got to love that line. Love was a cold bed full of scorpions. This is a kind of a brutal metaphor, right? Love is not warm. It's cold. It's not safe. It's an infested bed. So it makes it intimate because bed, but it's a bed full of scorpions. It's an infested bed of scorpions. It's intimate, but it's not a good place to be, right? It's almost like it's about closeness, bad, intimate, but it turns poisonous. The venom stole her sanity. The consequence is psychological. It's a psychological collapse. Love doesn't just hurt, it alters the mind. It steals stability. See, she's been dreaming of the fate of Ophelia, and she now starts telling us about Ophelia herself. And it does not look good. I mean, she's in a bed full of scorpions, all right? That's what love is. And it stole her sanity. And if you, now she's referring back to the fire starter, the guy or the person, if you'd never come for me, now the conditional rescue returns. The singer aligns herself with Ophelia's trajectory. I might have lingered in purgatory. Now the grave image intensifies. She dies, and now she's in purgatory. An in-between state, suspended suffering, unresolved. The song is stacking this kind of death-adjacent imagery. It's building it. See, when she says she dreams of Ophelia, now it makes a little bit more sense. See, now when you're going through it, you should stop and go, wait, what just happened? Because it seems so odd. Wait, she's been dreaming of Ophelia. What's going on? All you have to do is put a mark there, keep going, and then boom. Now, when you're listening to it as a song, you can't stop and let the tension build because the music just continues and the lyric goes right into the next lyric. But if you stop to read it, you can be like, oh, there's a little tension there. Wait, why is she dreaming about Ophelia? Because she's going to tell us about Ophelia, because she's going to come back and go, that would be me if you did not show up that late one night. You wrap around me like a chain, a crown, a vine. Now, 3 metaphors. chain. You wrap around me like a chain. That's kind of binding. A crown is kind of honoring. A vine, a living entanglement. Now, there's a little bit of ambiguity here, maybe. Do we see the chain as binding in a positive way, or do we see the chain as restriction? The crown is honor and elevation, but the vine, it's living, but is it entanglement? Is it growth, or is it choking? I think it's supposed to be positive. I don't think she's entering anything negative here. I think it may constantly keep showing that this person is so powerful. There is a little danger in the person, right? In other words, this person is not just like, oh, well, he showed up. Ah, yeah, he's kind of cute. No, this person showed up and there is, she can't come up with enough metaphors to describe this person because of how powerful they are. I mean, he saved her from the grave, from purgatory, from all of those from drowning in melancholy and all of those other things. Pulling me into the fire. Now we're back to the pyro imagery, but now it's relational. The rescuer pulls her into the fire. Now, is this passion? Is this danger? Is this thrilling? Either way, it's not neutral. He has shown up and she's never going to be the same again. At that time, I sat alone in my tower. You were just honing your powers. Now I can see it all. All right? Keep it 100. Pledge allegiance. Now you're mine. All right? The chorus is basically a vowel structure. The emotional engine is commitment. All right? And then, 'tis locked inside my memory. Now, 'tis locked inside my memory. It kind of shifts tone again, right? It's almost theatrical. It's literary, right? Memory is now locked chamber. 'Tis locked inside my memory, and only you possess the key. Now, this is not just love. It's control over access. Only you can lock what's inside of me. That's what she's saying. Only you can, you've got the key. Only you have. That's intimacy. That's true intimacy. You showed up late one night. You dug me out of my grave. I've taken all of this. I've put it in my memory, and only you have the key. No longer drowning and deceived. Water imagery returns with deceive. She's not only sad, she was fooled, confused, lied, or self-deceived, but she's no longer drowning. She's no longer deceived. All because you came for me. Right? It's total causality. The you is framed as the singular turning point. One person was the singular turning point. Locked inside my memory, only you possess the key. All right? At that time you dug me out of my grave, saved my heart. The song ends as it begins, rescue, possession, and devotion. You saved my heart from the fate of Ophelia. The song closes on the name, almost like a period. The symbol becomes the final word. That is so powerful. She ends it with the word Ophelia. The symbol is now the period in the song. That's stinking brilliant. That's genius. All right, now we're just a little over an hour. That's okay. These songs take a long time to take apart, all right? I have so many notes here. I will just give you a couple of quick things here. What Taylor Swift has said about the fate of Ophelia. She said, Taylor has explained that the song is inspired by the character Ophelia from Shakespeare's Hamlet, specifically the idea of someone driven mad by love. In interviews, she said the song is to play on Ophelia from Hamlet, who was driven mad by love, and because of that, she ends up drowning. She framed that as a reference point for the listener, not a retelling of the play, but a symbolic starting point for the song's imagery. And that's exactly how I interpreted it, and I interpreted it based off what Taylor Swift has said. So I was not doing speculation, I was doing interpretation based off the words of the author, all right? The creative idea, Swift described how she came up with the central idea of the chorus. It came from imagining an alternative outcome to the Shakespearean fate. What if the hook is that you save my heart from the fate of being driven mad by love? That phrasing, save my heart from the fate of Ophelia, is how she describes the emotional core of the song. Someone coming into your life, rescuing you from an emotional destruction inspired by that tragic literary fate of Ophelia, right? That's exactly how I try to interpret it. Her creative process, according to reporting on how the song was written and discussed in studio, Swift has said that the idea came about organically while she was working with producers and flipping through her list of song titles and themes. She imagined Ophelia in a scenario where she didn't go insane and drown, but instead, she met someone who treated her well, and from there, the hook was born. This reinforces that the fate in the title is symbolic rather than strictly narrative. That's why I did not do it just as a narrative, but as symbolic, representing these bigger things. This was a mental image that she was working on and reworking, all right? Swift hasn't explicitly detailed the full autobiographical meaning line by line. She has acknowledged that the song reflects her broader emotional experience, pairing Shakespearean reference with her own life in the public eye. Various outlets reporting on her interviews noted that the song frames a romantic encounter as a kind of rescue, and commentators citing Swift's own language in interviews tie the metaphor to her real-life relationship. So some try to tie it to a real-life relationship, and I'm not saying it's not about that. I'm saying that she herself says there's symbolism here, and I think that symbolism goes to this bigger narrative. Swift herself has spoken about how she gravitates towards literary imagery and uses it for a vehicle for expressing emotional states rather than literal life events. Did you hear that? She uses literary imagery to express emotional states, not literal life events, even though people can't seem to figure that out at times. All right? Now, there's so much more we could say here. I had so many points here. I will say this, the fate of Ophelia, I will say this, because I've just got pages of notes here. I got to pick something here to kind of wrap this up, right? The Fate of Ophelia is not a song. I don't think about, well, I don't know if I want to even go there. Here's what I will say. The fate of Ophelia, the actual fate of Ophelia is tragic. It's depressing. It's very, 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 very painful depending on when you read it in your emotional state. And I think a lot of people find themselves feeling like they're drowning in melancholy, that they can only make an allegiance to me, myself, and I. They're locked in a tower. They are in purgatory. They're all of these emotions. They're in a grave, and you're looking for that thing to show up, light the match, light up the sky, and rescue you from all of it. Now, I know in a theological podcast, what I'm supposed to say right now is Jesus will save you from the fate of Ophelia. That he's going to show up and fix you from all of this. Now, he shows up to save us from sin, right? Dying to pay for our sin, living a life of perfect obedience so his obedience can be imputed to my account so that I can stand before God perfect because of imputed righteousness, right? We could get into the gospel, but that's not what Taylor is referring to. She's not talking about my being saved from my sin. That's not what it's about. And to try to turn it to a story about that, I think is disingenuous and not fair. This is about someone emotionally broken. Just life is not right. And then late one night, someone shows up and changes everything. And I think everyone longs for that. Look, you can be, Jesus will do it for you. If Jesus did all of that for you, then there wouldn't be, why do people get married? Why do they pursue romantic relationships? Why do marriages fall apart? All right? So I think we can talk theology, but we can live in the real world. People want that person to show up and to save them. Can someone actually do that? I think in most cases they don't, right? They're going to let us down. They're going to fail us. And that's sad and that's tragic. So then it leaves you, well, do you just become cynical and give up on relationships because things don't go perfect as you want? Or is there something that someone can do that and still be imperfect? There's a lot of things we could discuss. I guess I'm not going to try to figure it all out. I had a lot of things. You know what? I'm just going to leave it there. You now know the fate of Ophelia, and you know how Taylor Swift changed it. Is it, if the fate of Ophelia was that she was too ideal, she had too much idealism, she lived in fantasy. Taylor kind of even says that. She found herself with all of these ideas and dreams and fantasy, but she found herself in bed full of scorpions. She ultimately, it dies. Taylor wants to believe, or is saying that she experienced the reverse of the fate of Ophelia. Is it too idealistic to think that we can escape the fate of Ophelia? Is it too much fantasy? Is it too much to ask? There's Taylor Swift, the fate of Ophelia. Oh, I wish I would have wrapped it up better, but I don't have I don't want to wrap it up better. I'm just going to tell you, look, I already know I've gone long, but that's okay. Look, the goal is to work through these songs in an in-depth way, right? And to treat them with respect. So, I'll just leave it for you to figure out. What do you think? Now, what some people will say is, well, this is just going to give women, young girls, this idealistic idea that someone's going to show up and save them from the fate of Ophelia. But hey, honey, let me just tell you, no, you just go ahead and lock your way in that tower. Just make a vow to you, yourself, and I. Go ahead and lay down in your grave and go ahead and go on to purgatory, because nobody's coming for you, baby. Nobody. Not in this life, all right? On this life, you're on your own, okay? I can start quoting other lyrics, all right? But I think no matter how many times you tell someone that, I think in our heart, we want the fate of Ophelia we want to be saved from it. I don't know, a lot I could say. There was The Fate of Ophelia by Taylor Swift from her album, The Life of a Showgirl, which dominated 2025. And that's how the album opens. Talk about a way to open an album. Everything connects to the cover art. Just stop the album right there. The end. All right. Standing ovation. The Fate of Ophelia. There's some brilliant lines in that. All right. Go listen to it. Enjoy it. Think about it. And if you want to share your interpretations of it, I would love to hear them. Everyone have a wonderful, it's almost 12:30 a.m. I got my headphones right over here to the right. What do you think? Should I go put on the song, The Fate of Ophelia? Should I go put it on? I need to get back to, classic radio drama. But do I listen to it once? I don't know. What do I do? You'll never know. God bless.